Alright, back out here working on the Trans Am today. I covered it up, Vaseline all the cylinders, and because there's a power block we're going to put on it, so we ain't running everything to the back of the alternator stud. So today, I don't know if I'm going to put the heads on and put the exhaust back on, then figure out where to put that power block, or go ahead and get under there, take the starter off, and go ahead and do the power block now. I am going to need to have the header on the head to see where I need to run the wires. I don't know. But I do know that I'm going to get my thread chaser and chase all these threads. And probably I'm not going to clean the surfaces until it's time to put the heads back on. And they're clean, so really I'm just going to need some parts cleaner, like some carburetor cleaner, brake cleaner, whatever. I'm just going to spray it down real good and wipe it off real good. And if I see any hot spots, I'll carefully run a razor blade over the heads, because that's aluminum. You don't want to gouge that, and you can easily gouge aluminum with a razor blade. And then usually I go backwards on the heads with the razor blade rather than going forward. If you go backwards with a razor blade, you don't have to worry about that so much with it gouging a little bit. And then we'll save these head studs. These are still good head studs. They just need cleaned up, but the block surface and the head surface are clean. And we're going to look over everything real good, make sure there's no cracks. Usually small block Chevy heads like to crack between the valves and at the water jackets. So, you know, we'll look through. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it just, some of the bottom bolts were a little loose. And I think it was just loose enough. I think it was just lifting the head enough to separate that gasket and allowing water and combustion to interfere with each other. But yeah, let me dig through this red tote of mine with all my specialty tools in it and see if I can't find that thread chaser. That's where I'm going to start today. Alright, I found my thread chaser. Now I'm just going to run that through all the bolt holes. 4 across the top, 5 across the middle, and 8 across the bottom. Make sure they're all nice and clean. Now, on a Gen 2 LT1, these top 4 bolts do not go into a water jacket. But apparently, on a small block Chevy, they do. I can see all the way down in there. So, on a small block Chevy, all the holes need the PTF cylinder on there. But yeah, just gonna run that thread chaser through there a couple of times each hole, and then that'll do it for that. So here's a hole we did. Just ran it through there twice. And here's a hole we didn't do. So that's why you want to do the thread chaser on those. You want to make absolutely sure that you get all that PTFE in out of there, because it could mess up your torque readings. I'm just inspecting the pistons. Pistons look good. I mean, no issues at all. Christopher did a good job building this motor. I mean, we've overheated it, and we've smacked it with 250, 300 shot. I don't know how many times, and it's been overheated bad twice. And it took it like a champ. I mean, I overheated it really, really bad one day. I had the gauge pegged at like 280, and the belt flew off of it. That's why electric water pumps are better than this stuff. You don't have to worry about throwing a belt. But then again, you know, those fell too, your electric can fail and start overheating then. But I don't know. But we got that belt issue fixed, so fix this head gasket and be good to go, hopefully. But yeah, this it's taking it like a champ. That's just a stock block 4-bolt main 383 with a completely forged rotating assembly in it. Let's thread chase the rest of these. I might go ahead and put this head back on. I might go ahead and put them both back on. Why not? I got some brake cleaner and a rag. I'll run a razor blade across through there and clean it up, and then hit it with some brake cleaner and wipe it off real good. I want to go ahead and clean these china walls. I'll put that blanket down inside here so none of the RTV drops down in there, especially down in that hole, because that goes right down in the oil pan. It just makes it easier to get to that stuff when the head's off. So yeah, let's thread chase these holes, clean that off, clean the surfaces, inspect the heads, clean the heads, and we'll throw those on. So this thread chaser is pretty much knocking everything out on the first pass. So make sure you clean your grooves out each time. But yeah, I'm still doing 2 passes, but the second pass, it's not picking up anything. So probably would be fine just doing 1 pass. So like I said, clean that out of there on each pass. So on this the bottom row, I got all the rest of them done. I'm just going across the bottom here. On this bottom row, that tap, thread chaser, or whatever you want to call it, it'll only go in that far. I'm not sure what it's hitting. I tried to look down. I stuck a screwdriver in there and didn't feel it hitting anything, but apparently it hit something down in there. But yeah, if it hits something, don't keep trying to send it, because you will break something. It looks like it starts to hit the side of the cylinder. I'm not sure. But yeah, you're not, I mean, some of them you'll run into a part where it feels tight, but you'll know when you start to hit something. And don't keep going, because if you keep going, you could break something, no question about it. But yeah, just thought I'd share that information. Just for reference, this is how long it is. And just for reference, all the other holes it went all the way into, and I just went to the top of the threads on every hole except for these bottom ones. Bottom ones, I'm just putting it in as far as it'll let me go. And I'm not putting crazy force on it. Alright, I carefully cleaned this area with that scraper razor blade carefully, because this is aluminum, you can gouge it. I did the same thing on the head's surface. Everything looks nice and clean. I used brake cleaner after I scraped it off. I used brake cleaner and a rag also. And then over here in these holes, I used brake cleaner on them holes and then dried them out real good, because you want that area dry when you're putting the nut on, because there's a washer that goes under the nut. You do not want the washer to be able to spin. So if that's dirty and oily, like these were really oily, it's more likely that washer would spin. So I also cleaned the block surface really good and cleaned the china wall. I only cleaned half the china wall here because my blanket was kind of in the way, and I can get that from the other side. I want to get this side done because I'm having to jack the car up to get this header out of the way, because it wouldn't drop low enough to get out of the way with it on the ground. I want to get this side back on so I can put it back down on the ground, because leaning over the cord and working on it is a huge pain in the butt. But yeah, I cleaned most of the Vaseline out of the cylinders. I scraped that off with a razor blade, same way, sprayed it with brake clean, and then I wiped it down with a rag. But yeah, that should be good. So we're going to put all our head studs in. Now there's 3 different lengths. The short ones go across the bottom. The medium size go on the 2 outside. And then all the rest of them go in here. The longer ones. So all these go into water jackets. The LT1, these top 4 did not go into water jackets, but these do. So also sucked some of the water out so it quit coming out that hole. So it didn't get on the gasket and stuff when I put it back on. But I'm going to put PTFE on all the studs, and I'm going to put them in hand tight. The directions say to put these in hand tight, and thread chase all the holes. That way we can screw it in hand tight. So we'll go ahead and do that. This is what I use. Permatex thread sealer 80632. Now you'll have a fine and a coarse end on these bolts. Coarse end goes into the block. Alright, studs are all in. And that PTFE, a little bit goes a long way. I had to wipe all around them holes just to clean it up a little bit, because it was squeezing out of there. And again, medium-sized bolt, medium-sized bolt, short bolts, long bolts. And on a small block Chevy, apparently they all go into water jackets. Gen 2 LT1, these top 4 don't go into water jackets, they did in. Now, you're going to put the head gasket on, and then we can drop the head on. Now, you can put the heads on first. You can put the head gasket on, then the head, then the studs, but when you do that, that PTFE gets all down in these holes. And I think this just makes it a lot cleaner, because it took me forever to get all that PTFE out of them holes. I used the thread chaser and just gouge back and forth till I got it all out. But yeah, put the head gasket on. And head gasket on. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put this fastener lube on the threads of the stud. Because once you get the head on there, it's going to be hard to put that on. So I'm going to go ahead and put some of that on. And then we can put the head on. Just make sure your gasket goes all the way down on your dowel pins on the front and the back. You don't want that to bind up. And don't force that thing on there. Sometimes it gets cockeyed and gets stuck on the bolts if you do it this way. Just raise it up and down, and this way and that way, and don't force it down on there like it got stuck on that back bolt back there. Don't force it down on there. It'll go on. You just got to play with it a little bit. All right, assembly lube on all the studs, and then I'm gonna put the head on. Oh, also, those got an Allen head in the. You're supposed to finger tighten them, but they're supposed to go all the way down. So, I mean, if they don't go all the way down, you can use the Allen wrench to get them all the way down, then just back them off a little bit, or just back it off and then finger tighten it. But yeah, all these went down like they should, because I thread chased them twice, and that just makes it easier. All right, before I put the head on there, I made absolutely sure there's no wires or nothing around here, nothing over here that would get caught in between there. Definitely don't want that. So, all looks good. Now we can put the washer and nut on there. So, pay attention to your instructions on these washers, because some washers have like a corrugated side. If that's the case, that side goes down towards the head. And some of them got a beveled side. That's usually with the bolts, because the bolts usually towards the head of the bolt there's a bevel, and you got to put that bevel towards the head of the bolt and then the flat side down. But these, it don't matter which way they go, they're just flat washers. And these nuts will be flat. Should be flat on the end as well. Yep, see that. Now I like the head bolts I put on my 5.3 because they have that corrugation stuff on the bottom to help them from spinning on the head, because you don't want these to spin on the head. So we're gonna wash these off really good with some brake cleaner, and then we'll go ahead and put them on. Then when we put the nut on, the flat side of the nut, we're going to lube up the flat side of the nut with that ARP thread lubricant. So it'll be more than likely that the nut spins on the washer. We want the nut to spin on the washer. We do not want the washer to spin on the head. So I sprayed those down with brake clean, flipped them over, sprayed them down with brake clean, because they got that package of material. And I think I already mentioned that, but anyway, get them nice and clean, and then I'll dry them off and put them on. Alright, I already put the washers on, dried them off, put them on, and then I brake cleaned the bottom of the nuts too. Now I'm going to dry those off, and I'm going to put that ARP thread lubricant on there. Now I'm going to put the bolts on. Alright, there we go. Just use some of that ARP fastener assembly lubricant. So just to recap, the stud goes in, use a PTF thread sealer where it goes on in the block, use fastener assembly lubricant on the threads where the nut's going to go. The head where the washer goes needs to be good, clean, and dry. The washer needs to be good, clean, and dry. And then fastener lubricant on the nut, because we want the washer. That washer ain't going all the way down. It's stuck in between those springs, but this nut will push it down, I'm sure. But sidetrack. We do not want that washer to spin. That'll mix up your torque readings. We want the nut to spin on the washer. So I'll go ahead and put all the nuts on. Then we can start tightening it down. Alright, got all the studs on. So I'm on, these go up to 80 pounds per the instructions. Each bolt has their torque spec, so stud, bolt, whatever. So ARP, I have that on their directions. So start in the middle, and then we're not going to go straight to 80 pounds. We're going to probably do 40 on the first pass. I hand tightened them, and then we'll do 40, 60, and 80, or 30, 60, and 80, something like that. Then we're going to follow the torque specs for each pass. You start with this one right here in the middle, and then go here, 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 and then I just do the U pattern here, 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 there, and then the very last one here, here, there, there. And do a wave of like 30, and then we'll do a wave of like, I don't know, 55, 60, and then we'll do the last pass of 80. Torque all those down. And there we go. That head's on. No wires, nothing caught. Your head studs all should stick out about the same on each row. So those 4 stick out about the same. The 2 end ones stick out about the same. And these 3 middle ones, this one don't go down as far for some reason. But oh well. We're all torqued down. I did a sweep of 40, a sweep hand tight, then a sweep of 40 pounds, a sweep of 60 pounds, and a final sweep of 80 pounds. I went back through them twice at 80 pounds just to make sure, absolutely sure I didn't miss any. So this side's done. I'm going to go ahead and put the other head on. And you want to put the other one on, I'm going to do it the same exact way. Well, I was on my third hole on the driver's side. Oh, I didn't even really have any force on this thing. And it just broke. I'm pretty sure that's ARP. It is. I didn't even really have any force on it. And that was stuck down in the block. Luckily, I was able to get these down in there and grab a hold of these ledges. Kind of like that right there. Camera don't want to focus. Kind of like that right there. And I stuck a screwdriver down in there. And it broke free, luckily. But yeah, that had me sweating bullets. Wonder why that broke. I wasn't even turning it that hard. Well, I got a lot more holes to go. So I'm going to have to go get me some thread chase. Another thread chaser. Well, haha. I got another one. And this little cheap tap and die set I got. 7/16 14. Let's do it. Well, unfortunately, the tap thread chaser or whatever, that's a tap. Obviously, I need the thread chaser, or that one's just it's the right size. It's just the wrong pitch or something. I don't know. It won't go in the hole. It won't go in the hole good enough that I'm comfortable with. So, gonna have to order another one of those before I can finish her up. I should have took a video of it broke down in there. I did this one, it broke in this one. And it broke clean it broke clean. Right across, there was a little bitty piece sticking up. I took a screwdriver, tried to hit it with a hammer, and it broke that piece off. Luckily, I had that little, I don't even know what that tool's for, but luckily it fit down in each side of the grooves. And I stuck a screwdriver in there and it turned. It actually turned. Well, it was kind of tight, but not tight enough that thing should have broke. Nah, well, I'll order another one.